Hey, I'm Dakota McMillan. This is why you should invest in GameStop. A quick little analysis and reasoning behind my stance. So, GameStop is a specialty retailer that sells products including new and pre owned video games, consoles, accessories, and consumer electronics. They also sell merchandise and collectibles, as well as a few of its own branded items. They've recently started expanding in customizable controllers, and they are reaching out into the PC market. It's recently been headed by CEO Ryan Cohen, who is a co-founder of Chewy, and former CEO of that until he sold it to PetSmart, in large part due to his leadership and the rest of the board members, as he is also chairman of the board. They've really turned GameStop around into being profitable again. Its biggest competitors are Amazon and Best Buy. Obviously, they have a lot of market share in the electronic space, and then Amazon just sells everything, so that's kind of a competitor to everybody in that sense. But they also try to keep up with good prices and easy shipping. As far as the brick and mortar aspect, you have Best Buy, Walmart, Target that have also similar pricing, and GameStop tries to stand out by being its own little ecosystem of, this gaming community type thing. So for 2023, it's been on the up and up. It's got a revenue of 5.3-ish billion dollars. Cost of goods sold almost 4 billion. Operating expenses 5. Total assets is up to 3.7 billion. 2 billion of which is cash. Current liabilities just under a billion. Long-term debts only 18 million, and they have not been doing dividends for the last few years, and they do not plan to until they are profitable for enough time. So GameStop is a common stock under the ticker GME. Shareholder equity equates to about $1.34 billion. And as of closing on Friday, May 25th, 2024, the share price is $19, and it's up to $21.49 in the after hours, probably due to them announcing that they have just made $930 million by selling 45 million new shares over the last couple of weeks. Now, a few years ago, and especially before Ryan Cohen came in, GameStop was kind of suffering some losses and heading in the wrong direction, and it was a big target for short selling. Short sellers basically borrow the stock to sell it before they own it, with the promise that they'll buy it back at a future date because they suspect that the price will go down, which means they can buy it back for a lower price than they sold it before and then pocket the difference. And so over that time, it's now has an official shorted interest of 24%. That is just what has been easily reported. There's the big probability that there's a lot of what's called naked short selling, which is it has a lot of fail to delivers, which are the people who try to short it failing to deliver the shares that they were supposed to borrow, because when you short the stock, you're supposed to borrow it as you do it. But these failure delivers are signs of naked shorting, which means they are just shorting it without borrowing it or ensuring that they can borrow it. So they're basically just over and over shorting and kicking the can down the road. And the price has been rather volatile, and so they can make money if it does go down and they're able to, buy those cheaper shares. But now we enter my brief bull case for investing in GameStop. That large part comes from a company called ComputerShare, who is a direct registrar where you can have your shares directly registered with them and off of the liquid markets. And as of now, investors have direct registered over 25% of the company. Ryan Cohen himself owns 12%, let alone the other insiders owning a little bit. And that brings us back to the shorts needing liquidity to properly short a stock. They have to be able to borrow a share to short it, which is why there's such rampant naked shorting, just shorting without borrowing, because it's quite illiquid. And as more get registered, you see the price refusing to drop as much because they're having trouble shorting it as much. But shorts always have to cover and close their positions. They can kick the can down the road and try to push the time frame for when they do have to close and cover their positions, but eventually they do. And since there's, more than a third of the stock just kind of off the table for them to borrow at this point, the effective short interest goes up to around 30 or more percent, which is just a kind of an astronomical number. And these situations lead to what are called short squeezes, where at a certain point the stock just doesn't go down and they have to rebuy in, and the stock price rises. So they're forced to buy a higher price share, which of course increases the price further. This happened in about 2021 with GameStop itself, where it went from like $4 to a max of 300 something in just a few weeks. And just a few days ago, similar happened where it went from 10 to 80 a share, and it's back down to about 20 now, which is still double than a few weeks ago, and it seems like it's not really pushing below 20. I will say, while I do recommend investing because it's such a long-term promise just in the company itself, they're doing pretty good and they have a good direction. This situation with the shorts means that there's quite a big chance to catch another short squeeze, and also hopefully put some of these folks doing this naked shorting out of business, because it's kind of largely illegal, but there's a lot of little loopholes they can use to get around that. It's all a mess, to be honest, and it would be amazing to see them be jailed for these practices. And like I said earlier, the company has been doing better and better, and now has over $2 billion cash in hand. And all in all, the only way short sellers can win is for the stock to basically hit zero, like happened with like Bed Bath & Beyond, for example. But that is very unlikely here, with the company doing better and better, having so much cash on hand, and then with the strategic leadership that it has, be poised to create its own line of equipment, invest or acquire other companies, and in the meantime, let that $2 billion generate interest. And so, yeah, while your fortitude may be tested by investing in this company, me personally have seen my value of shares owned go up and down by hundreds or thousands in a day. It kind of makes you have to be a little stoic and just kind of hang on for the ride, because we know where it's going by looking at these situations here. Like, it will squeeze, possibly to an unfathomable extent, because of the massive short interest that it has and how good the company's doing. So fundamentally, it's at a good price to invest in, let alone with the promise of quite insane jumps in price because of the rampant short selling. And my hope is that the investing world can kind of get shaken up and create better rules, because it's honestly just such a mockery of the investing world looking at situations like this. People literally just making a living trying to break down companies. Kind of unfortunate. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, unless you're a millionaire or billionaire, we're not going to really make much of a dent. But, if you're curious, grab a share or two, preferably direct register them with ComputerShare. That way they're not able to be shorted, because that, will help the price go up. And make sure you never invest anything that you cannot afford to lose, or put yourself in a situation where you'll be desperate for that money back. Be smart about it. All right, thank you.